Prepping food is going to be more and more important every day as time goes by, considering the shortages that we're facing and the supply chain disruptions that are on their way. So I wanted to give you some ideas about another type of food to stockpile for prepping. We often talk about rice and beans, and we know that those are staples because they have nutritional value, they're calorically dense, and they're very inexpensive. But there is another grain that you should be looking at in the sense of prepping and stockpiling, and that is going to be oats. Oats are very calorically dense, but they're also more nutritious than rice. And at the same time, they are more expensive. They do take up a little bit more space, but you get more for your money, and they're easier to deal with when it comes to cooking or just overall consumption. So let's compare oats and rice as two different main staple grains for prepping, and why you should definitely start focusing on oats and getting more of these in your stores. Listen, oats are great. They can store for up to 25 years if you seal them up in Mylar bags, just like rice and beans. And at the end of the day, they can be consumed even more easily. So let's just start with a price and kind of go from there. We'll compare oats and rice so that you have something else to think about, because stockpiling food right now is super important. Make sure you're doing it. And if you want more suggestions or advice like this video is giving, please hit the subscribe button below, because these are the conversations we're going to be having here, especially with everything happening in the world right now, okay? And we know that grains are going to be in high demand and short supply very soon here due to the disruptions from the conflict that's happening overseas right now. Oats. These were $3.79 at my local grocery store for 42 ounces. This is 2 pounds and 10 ounces per container, but you can get these at Walmart for $2.58, okay? So we're gonna use that pricing because the rice we're comparing it to is the great value 20-pound bags of rice you can also find at Walmart for very inexpensive, all right? There's 4,500 calories in this container, all right? And that's about 2 days worth of food per container, which is pretty good if you think about it. If you're just trying to get somebody new into preparedness and get them stocked up with some food, let's say a 2-week supply, 7 of these give somebody, a singular person, a 2-week supply of food. Yes, it's very mundane and boring, but calorically they'll have what they need, they'll have some basic nutrition, and they won't starve. So not a bad way to go, and at $2.50 a piece, that's not too hard to put together now, is it? Okay, now, moving on from there. Compared to rice, oats are high in fat, okay, much higher in dietary fiber, and higher in protein. So they have 3 of the things that are very important for your nutrition during a survival situation. You need fats so that you can store energy. You need protein so that you can keep mass and even gain it in some cases. And you obviously need fiber to maintain a healthy digestive system. And those are all things that you don't really get from rice. So that is definitely something worth thinking about when it comes to what you're stockpiling and why you need more variety, and why oats is still a great option, especially if you have somebody who's not really a fan of rice, let's just say, okay? Now, oats are also much easier to cook, and they can be eaten raw, which could be very helpful in a survival situation. They're very easy to cook. Look, you boil water, you throw the oats in, or vice versa, and you basically have oatmeal, right? But you can also just eat oats raw, especially if you mix them with other ingredients. And there's a lot of recipes out there on the internet, I'll even flash one up here somewhere, that basically tell you to take raw oats, mix it up with peanut butter and honey, and you have straight up oat bars now. All right? And that's all survival items that preppers just stock anyway. Peanut butter, great for protein, great for calories, great for fat. And then you have the oats, and then you have honey, which is great for medicinal purposes, as well as the health benefits and nutritional value that honey brings to the table. So obviously, another great reason why oats is good to have in your inventory. Now, let's compare it to the white rice, okay? Should have rice too. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to put rice down. But here's the differences and why you should maybe consider oats as being something you want more of, okay? Rice, for 20 pounds, you get it for $9 at Walmart. That's $9. Not bad at all, okay? And in 20 pounds of rice, you have 32,320 calories. That's 16 days worth of food. So for 20 bucks, you got more than 2 weeks worth of food in one bag, okay? Now, is that great food to eat for 16 days straight with nothing else? Not really, but you'll definitely not starve, and you're going to have food in your belly. So to get somebody started, I mean, for $9 to have 2 weeks worth of food just sitting right here on the table, kind of hard to beat, right? Now, this whole 20-pound bag doesn't really have any fat in it. Actually, it has 0. It has almost no fiber at all, less than a gram per serving, right? Which, who knows what that end-all number really is. And it has less protein than the oats. I believe the oats have 5 grams per serving and the rice has 3. So at the end of the day, yes, the rice will give you more calories and more food, but you will not get as much nutrition from it, and you won't be able to sustain as easily from it either, okay? Rice is also harder to cook. In case you've never just tried to cook rice before, it isn't as easy as it sounds. It's easy to burn it, it's easy to undercook it, and in fact, you can't eat raw rice. I mean, I guess technically you could, but it's not advised. In fact, there's a lot of websites that'll tell you that it's unhealthy. There's a good chance of food poisoning by eating uncooked rice or undercooked rice even, which is definitely something you don't want during an SHTF scenario. And at the same time, once you do cook it, you've done a lot more work than what it takes to do with oats, okay? So these are things to keep in mind, all right? It's much harder to cook rice. It just is, okay? It's not impossible. I'm not trying to sound like it's difficult. I'm just letting you know that in comparison, I mean, this is much easier. Also, raw rice is very hard on your digestive system. So these are all things to keep in mind. For some reason, if you didn't have any water, or if maybe you just found yourself in a situation where you couldn't produce fire because of a footprint or trying to keep your OPSEC, or you didn't have access to electricity to boil water, whatever it might be, you can eat these oats right out of the canister. Can't say the same about the rice, okay? Now, cost compared. This is where it really comes down to, because we're trying to be budget friendly. We want as much food as we can for our money, but nutrition matters, right? And so does ease of access in the sense of how you can eat it after the fact, especially if you don't have access to other resources. 7 of these oat cans is equal to about what this bag of rice provides you, okay? 7 of these cans is 31,500 calories. And like I said, this 20-pound bag of rice is 32,320. So that's about a wash. Obviously, we're missing about, what, 800 calories from that equation? Okay, but adding another one of these cans puts it over a few thousand calories in comparison. So 7's really where it's at to make that final comparison, right? So 7 of these is $18.06. All right, it's not too bad, but it's double the price of the rice, which means per calorie, you're spending twice as much money. So you're only gonna get half of the food supply using the oats as you would the rice. And you're also gonna need to take up more space. As you can see, oats are much less dense than rice. So you're gonna have more space to store them, and you're not gonna have as many calories in as dense of a package as you would with rice. Like I said, each one of these is 2 pounds, 10 ounces, and I only have 4 of them here, and clearly it's taking up a lot more space than 20 pounds of rice. But that being said, the oats have a lot more nutrition to give you. Their nutritional value is higher. They have protein, fat, dietary fiber, which is going to be extremely important during a stressful crisis situation where people aren't doing very well in the sense of digesting and just taking care of their stomachs. And at the same time, it has fat, which you definitely need for storing that energy away for when you really need it the most. So I'm not trying to say oats are better than rice in the sense of cost versus calories, in the sense of storage when it comes to space versus density. But what I am trying to say is that they are a good idea to have a lot of. And it is something that's going to become more and more scarce the longer this conflict goes on for. And oats are also something that people tend to enjoy already. People have oatmeal all the time, and you don't even have to cook it, which could be a big deal in a lot of people's situations, especially if you're in like an apartment or something. Maybe the idea of boiling water over an open flame isn't existent for you. And without power or a way to generate enough power to run something like a hot plate, you might have water and you might have rice, but you might not have a way to make it. Whereas if you have water that you can live off for hydration, you can eat the oats raw out of the canister if you have to. So these are all considerations. I don't want you to sleep on this food prep. Oats are awesome. Make sure you have more of them, and I'm stocking a lot more of them for all the different reasons that I just told you about, especially the fact that you can mix them with other ingredients and have really easy snacks that are things I already stock anyway as part of the ingredients. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Tell me anything crafty or creative you do with oats in the sense of storing them and in the sense of what you make with them for survival food, okay? And if you have any other things to add, I mean, magicpepper.com is always a good resource. You can send me a message directly there. But just wanted to make sure everybody was aware, oats are where it's at, and that's gonna be it for Magic Prepper.